If you've watched the Netflix movie and read the book, what's next on your reading list? Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 books to read if you liked To All the Boys I've Loved Before. Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at books that share similarities to Jenny Han's YA novel. Number 10. I Believe in a Thing Called Love, Maurene Goo. If one of the reasons you love To All the Boys I've Loved Before was the welcome modernity of having an Asian American main character, then we highly recommend checking out one of Maurene Goo's books. I Believe in a Thing Called Love shares something else with Jenny Han's novel. The main characters in both are teenage girls who turn to fiction for inspiration on how to deal with their real-life crushes.
I just want to finish this chapter.
The highly competent, yet romantically awkward Desi Lee decides to learn from Korean TV dramas how to confidently interact with the hot boy object of her desire. Of course, though, sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. Number 9. The Summer of Jordi Perez and the Best Burger in Los Angeles, Amy Spalding. Was one of your favorite things about To All the Boys seeing a character fall super hard for their crush?
You're welcome.
Being with Peter was so easy that sometimes I let myself pretend it wasn't fake.
Yeah, us too. So we can say that this modern YA romance might just be perfect for you to enjoy as well. This LGBTQ love story is set in, yes, LA, and focuses on Abby Ives, a teen fashionista with a plus-size style blog who just so happens to fall for the girl Jordi she is interning with at a boutique. They're both competing for the same dream job, so she struggles with her reconciling her romantic feelings with her drive for success. Not to mention her drive to track down the most excellent hamburgers in town. Number 8. Everything Leads to You, Nina LaCour. If the theme of lost letters bringing people together is what intrigued you about To All the Boys, this pick by the author of The Disenchantments could be your next perfect read.
Have you seen a green sort of teal box thing and it has fabric on top of it, it's round and there's a bow on it?
Everything Leads to You is also an LGBTQ love story, and it's also set in Los Angeles. Talk about coincidences. Emmy Price is working in Hollywood in set design, even though she's still only 18 years old. At an estate sale, she discovers a letter from an old film star and decides to learn more about the story behind it. On her way, she meets a young woman, Ava, who changes everything for her. Number 7. Anna and the French Kiss, Stephanie Perkins. If what you crave is a classic romantic comedy novel, and who doesn't, then look no further than Stephanie Perkins' debut, Anna and the French Kiss, which spawned several sequels. The titular high schooler Anna Oliphant is forced to go to boarding school in Paris by her father, but she desperately doesn't want to leave her life in Atlanta behind. But when she meets a serious cutie named Etienne St. Clair, who lives in her dorm, she starts to question whether Paris might not be so bad after all. Just like To All the Boys I've Loved Before, this one features misinterpreted signals and romantic confusion before the main couple can work things out. Number 6. Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, Becky Albertall. You've very likely heard about the movie Love, Simon, but did you know it was based on a beloved teen novel?
I like your boots. Bye.
Becky Albertall's story shares some similarities with To All the Boys I've Loved Before, not just because both became YA sensations, but because it revolves around love letters going public that were always meant to remain private.
Okay, don't worry, I won't show anyone.
Show anyone what?
In this novel, lead character Simon Spear is gay and is under threat to be outed by a classmate after his romantic online conversations with an anonymous crush fall into the wrong hands. But don't worry, it all ends well.
Because no matter what, announcing who you are to the world is pretty terrifying. Because what if the world doesn't like you?
Number 5. The Boyfriend List. 15 guys, 11 shrink appointments, 4 ceramic frogs, and me, Ruby Oliver. E. Lockhart. In this novel, the first in a series of 4, the main character, 15-year-old teenager Ruby Oliver, goes to therapy after having what she describes as the worst 10 days of her life. There are rumors about her circling around her school, and she has lost both her best friend and her boyfriend. Things get even more awful when her very private therapeutic list-making ends up going public, and her reputation takes an even bigger hit from her judgmental peers. As in To All the Boys I've Loved Before, something written privately goes public against the protagonist's will.
thought you might want that back. It seemed a little personal.
But Ruby is a vivacious and strong-willed character, and she will endure. Number 4. 13 Little Blue Envelopes, Maurene Johnson. The theme of letter writing definitely carries through in Maurene Johnson's novel 13 Little Blue Envelopes. Ginny Blackstone's mysteriously cool aunt, known as Runaway Aunt Peg, has recently passed away and left over a dozen instruction-stuffed envelopes for Ginny to open sequentially on an international scavenger hunt of sorts across Europe. Ginny has to follow the directives left for her in the notes, which include strict limitations on how she can travel, which take her far out of her comfort zone to new adventures. There's a pretty adorable love story here as well, so you certainly won't be missing that YA romance. Number 3. Eleanor and Park, Rainbow Rowell. Has any YA romance received more positive press in recent years than this one? Eleanor and Park, set in Nebraska during the 80s, carries a heavier tone overall than To All the Boys, but similarly brings together two people who initially seemingly aren't at all meant to be together. Eleanor is a smart and eccentric teenager coping with an abusive household, while Park is a half-Korean teen who is worried about living up to his father's macho expectations of him. Both are social outcasts, and the relationship they build together is nuanced and very real. Number 2. Emergency Contact, Mary H.K. Choi. Perhaps the hottest YA release of 2018 has been compared to All the Boys, and for good reason. Emergency Contact is a distinctly modern and topical romantic story about two characters, Penny, who like Park in our previous entry is half Korean, and Sam, who communicate by text because they're more comfortable doing that than dealing with the awkwardness of real-life in-person interactions. Your heart will be racing alongside theirs as you get swept along on this whirlwind romance that is deeply rooted in the tech-saturated reality that young people inhabit today. Number 1. P.S. I Still Love You, Jenny Han. This may seem somewhat obvious, but not everyone realizes that To All the Boys I've Loved Before actually has 2 sequels. So if you're desperate to find out what happened between Peter Kavinsky and Laura Jean Covey after the happily ever after at the end of the movie, there's plenty more story for you to enjoy.
You gonna break my heart, Covey?
Netflix hasn't officially ordered a movie sequel yet, but you know they will, so you can know what happens long before it airs. Not only that, Jenny Han also has a lot of other great YA books, like the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy. Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.